What's up, guys? Big show today, and let's get right into it. It is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home some big-time wins of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to put on point spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So in Game 5, Jarrett Allen was ruled out with a bruised rib, a rib injury. We're not sure exactly when it happened, but he appeared on the injury report about 2 hours before tip-off and then ended up not playing. His status for Game 6 is still up in the air. If he is healthy, and for the assumption for this conversation, if he is healthy, what should the Cavaliers do about their starting lineup in Game 6? Do you go back to Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley and play the two bigs? Or do you go with the offensive lineup that worked, starting Isaac Okoro and or Marcus Morris to provide more floor spacing?
Jason, what say you if Jarrett Allen is good to go?
This is going to be unpopular. I would go back to the two bigs, but you pivot off it quickly. Like, I don't know that you want to bench either one of those guys right now. I don't know that they're at the point in the career where it is a big deal. Like, they'll try and say it doesn't matter who starts, who finishes. To the players, it's a big deal. And I remember when they benched Kevin during the finals, like that was a thing. And that took
I bet.
And he was coming off injury as well. But in this instance, I think you start him, but you pivot quickly. And you try and go back to the patty cake, alternate as much as you can. But for the purposes of confidence, ego, whatever, stick with the same starters and then be willing to pivot quickly if necessary.
Tyvis?
I was actually going to go down that same road. I didn't care about the starting. I just think that you can't. I think it's better if he's injured like that and he's not healthy. I think that you want to rotate their minutes, keep them fresh instead of having them both in and exhausting both big mans, stagger them like they was doing, when Evan was first coming back from his injury during the regular season, so that you always have that big. Obviously, with Evan in there, you got a little bit more shooting because he can shoot the three. But I think that's what you want to do instead of exhausting both bigs at the same time. You stagger them because you was the most successful, in this last game when you ran the four small guys and the one big. So I think you got the recipe. I think it's going to force the Magic to adjust to that because right now I don't think they really had a great answer. The only difference is rebounding was bad. I think that the Magic did a really good job of getting a lot of rebounds. So I think that's the only downfall to that. But yeah, I'm pivoting. I'm rotating them throughout the game.
I think we're all on the same page roughly here because if I don't know if that was his real response.
It was. He texted us too. We'll do it. We'll get in. I don't want to sidetrack, but we'll get to that after the break.
It's funny. Anyway, so if you play, let's say you play, just read it now because we're sidetracked anyway. So go ahead.
Steve Becker, please do not send text during the show.
Steve texts too much during the show.
Steve Becker, no more text during the show. Please, this is what happens. Please stop texting my guys.
Did G actually say this or no?
No, he texted me and Anthony on the side, said the same thing.
All
He's
right.
heard of the fiddler
That's
of the
enough.
devil, not the fiddler on the roof.
Keep it moving.
Compose yourself. Back to the show.
All right. I'm the one trying to keep it together here.
I appreciate
for
you.
the record.
That's a Steve Becker flaw right there.
So if you play them together the first 6 minutes of the game, roughly, and the first 6 minutes of the second half, then they could both play roughly 30 minutes and not play together outside of those first 6 minutes.
I would actually cut the 6. I'd cut it back.
Cut to 4 or 5?
Because if you run them for 6 and pull 1, the other's going to have to come shortly thereafter.
That's true. Right.
I would actually
so
cut
4
it.
minutes.
First
and
4 or 5
even
minutes.
if there's a minute or two crossover at other times.
Right.
Even if you play them both roughly 30 minutes or 28 minutes or whatever, they won't be playing together that much. But you're right. You don't want to go 6 because then you pull the first guy out and then you have to rest the guy.
2 minutes later.
So pull them out at 4 minutes, whichever one you want. Then you go 4 minutes where just one of them's in. Then you keep doing that.
I got a question for Mike McNuggets.
Yeah.
McNuggets, now that seeing that Niang has struggled this series, if they did decide to go with just the one big on a rotational side, How many minutes does Niang get in this
He's not
next
playing.
game?
Zero.
He's not playing at all.
You're not going to play him. So because
Marcus
he
Morris
played
has
bad in the first 3, you just not playing him in this series?
Why would you play him?
He might spark up.
You don't cross him out. He's not dead to you.
That's what y'all making it sound like.
But you're not going to him right now.
So Marcus Morris.
Marcus has that spot.
Yes.
For sure.
100%.
So
At least
when
for
he,
one more
so
game,
when,
yeah.
so it's just gonna be him and Okoro that just rotate at the 4.
Well, I mean, you didn't have Jarrett the other night, and Niang didn't play at all.
Right. So why would he play if Jarrett's back?
That's crazy.
The guy who's not going to play this game if Jarrett's back is Tristan. Right. He
Correct.
won't play.
Probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
and Marcus Morris won't get 26 minutes.
He'll
probably
play
get
a little
20
less,
minutes.
but still, I mean, Marcus. There's no like what you did over the length of the regular season doesn't matter when you're part of the others. If one of the others gets hot, you stick with him. And then that's why Morris is going to play.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to say goodbye to Darius Garland or Mitchell if they. But when you're talking about the rest of the roster, right? You play the guys who are hot.
Yeah, when role players go cold, they're out.
So
That's it. And Sam Merrill, like he was 0 for 2 in his 6 minutes. Goodbye.
So right now, how many is he rotating? 7?
No, they played 9 last
He
game,
played 9.
including Merrill getting 6 minutes. I would think it'd be 8 or 9, right?
It'll be that same number. I mean,
Yeah.
Merrill is going to get a chance if he doesn't make a shot early. He's
Right,
not going to
then
play
he's-
again.
then
Same
that's it.
thing. But let's just assume that Jay is healthy. Just assume, just for the sake of this, real quick.
Yeah.
You have your 5 starters. You have LeVert and Okoro off the bench, and you have Marcus Morris. That's 8.
Right, and then Merrill.
And then Merrill's
will
your
get his
8.5.
opportunity
And
a couple
that's-
minutes, and that's it.
You play 9, you trust 8, and that 9th guy gets 3 or 4 minutes,
right,
5 minutes,
and if
whatever.
if he comes out hot, if it's a few threes, he'll stick in there.
If Sam makes his first 2 shots, he's going to stay on the floor.
Yeah, but if he misses like he did last time, goodbye. We had enough time because you can't do anything else besides make those shots.
Not the white Steph Curry.
Oh, stop.
That's what McNuggets told me.
His numbers, based if you took off the context of them, yes, he shot at the volume and efficiency of Steph Curry, but they are 2 completely different players.
I mean, LeBron had a better 3-point
I mean,
shot.
that is the most insulting thing you've ever said about a player in your life. Sam Merrill does not belong in a conversation with Steph Curry.
I just said he does.
In any way,
That's what I just said.
anytime, ever. There's no comparison. He's playing 2 minutes in a regular
that's
season.
what I
Nobody
said.
gives a rat's ass about that.
That's literally just what
That's
I said.
insulting. You were out of control right now.
I just said he does. He's not Steph Curry.
didn't
It's
say
literally
that.
what I
He
said.
said he's Steph Curry.
You guys.
I heard you say it's Steph Curry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying if you strip it down and you look at
I
just
know,
the
I'm busting
pure-
your balls.
No,
Go
but,
ahead.
So the start, I think we're all in agreement. You go back to Allen and Mobley.
Yeah.
Now, if it comes down to a close game again, that's the real question. Is it dependent on how the game goes and how the two are playing together?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
have you guys changed your mindset to believe that the Cavs' best option to close out a game is 4 guys who can shoot and 1 big, regardless of who the 4 particular players are?
I think 1 and 4 out's their best lineup.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their best players don't fit
Right.
that.
But
That's right.
So-
But at the end of the game,
But at the end of the game, the reason why I don't mind the 2 bigs towards the end of the game, like if we're up, is because when you look at the Magic, they had their lineup is tall, so we need guys that can box out and get those rebounds and stuff like that. I think it was we got kind of lucky once the block happened and Marcus Morris was able to get a hand on it to tap it to Max Strus. But I just thought late in the game, just on the rebound standpoint, we just looked overwhelmed there.
Well,
so that's my only concern.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm fine with the four
Yeah.
small guys.
I mean, the rebounding totals, considering Jarrett Allen didn't play, were actually not bad. The Magic had a big edge early, but the Cavs kind of made it up late in the game.
Ended up just being a 4 rebound.
Yeah,
differential.
I mean, considering Jarrett Allen didn't play, to only get out rebounded by 4 against the Magic. To me, yeah, I mean, I guess if Mobley and Allen are both playing lights out, then I would stick with both of them in the closing minutes.
Sure.
But if it's a close game late, or if you're losing, by 5 late, I got to go 1 and 4.
Oh yeah,
that's my best
if you're
opportunity to score.
losing, then
Yeah, but even if it's close, even if it's like last game where it's kind of back and forth, 3 points, I don't want the 2 big guys in unless they're just both so hot that I have to keep them in. Now, who you sit of the 2 of them, I don't know.
I would have to see the Magic's lineup because it bothers me just a little bit. I don't know why, it just does. Because they're gonna attack the paint. That's like gonna be the number one thing. If you got Jarrett Allen down there, Evan Mobley is more. He could be more on the wing, and they funnel everything to Jarrett Allen. That's just the way they play defense, anyway.
I think you need Evan on the floor for Banchero.
I agree with that statement.
Okay, so then so unless Jarrett Allen is just killing it, Is he on the bench in a close game late?
I mean, we just have to see it play out. But I think that there's a scenario where,
Yes.
I think there's a scenario where Jarrett's on the bench because you need Evan for. I mean, Paolo Banchero the other night was his coming out party.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
And to do that on the road was really, really impressive. But Evan did a nice job on him late. So we talked about this on the podcast yesterday that Okoro just gives up too many inches. He's like 4 or 5 inches shorter than Banchero. Yeah. It's just that's a really hard guard for him, where Evans got a little bit more size and can handle that a little bit better. So for the Banchero factor, I can't take Evan Mobley off the floor late in the game.
I know this series is not drawing a lot of attention nationally.
It's been a great series.
Yes, but here Banchero in particular, who looked completely awful the first 2 games of the series. The last 3 games, he's been phenomenal. And had the Magic won, I would think he'd be getting a lot more hype around the league. But I don't know, maybe just because this series is not
I think it's
drawing
because,
as many eyeballs.
But that's what I wrote after the game the other night. It's like, this is the first time since, I think, 2005, LeBron, KD, and Steph aren't in the playoffs after the first. They didn't make it out of the first round.
Right.
And this is very much becoming the league of Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. Yeah. And I put Banchero in that category. Like,
really?
He is that good.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he can't shoot like those guys.
Hey, we +4 tonight.
Yep.
He made 4 threes the other night on the road. I mean, Paolo Banchero's not going to be Steph Curry as a 3-point shooter. No.
He's a midi.
He can make him when you need him.
Yeah.
And real quick on Paolo.
Yeah.
They don't have any semblance of a point guard. Yeah. Everything he's creating is difficult looks. And the fact that he's making these at the clip he has. He played bad in game 3 or 4. He had 9 points in one of the home games where the Cavs lost.
Game 4.
But he was really good in game 2 and 3, and then really, really good in game 5. If he was able to get a couple more easy looks based on their offense, he could be putting up 29, 30 points a game.
I mean, that's got to be their priority this offseason.
Yeah. Imagine him with any sort of shooter that you have to fear.
Yeah, right.
Or a point guard who can create for him.
Right.
Like, that has to be. I saw, like, them linked to Paul George yesterday, which I forget who put it out. But that was a little bit curious to me. But, I mean, another big-time playmaker.
Yeah.
But, man, you give him a point guard or some sort of shooter.
And how old is he? He's only like 20, right?
Young.
Just turned 21, second year in the league.
Paul George go to Orlando. He's sick of Kawhi's injuries. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing that.
I'm sick of all the old guys. I've had enough of them.
Whoa.
Except for LeBron and Steph. I'm
We're
good
old
with
guys.
those guys.
We're old
I
guys.
know that, but I like the young blood. I want to see those guys. I still like Steph. I got to admit, I hated Steph when the Cavs would play him, but
of course,
the guy's the nicest guy.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's totally likable.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to like the guy, and of course, I still like LeBron. The rest of the old guys can catch a bus. I hate Durant.
When we were playing Golden State in their glory days, Steph and Kevin, when we played them in the final, every time they shot, it was like, that's going in. Yeah. I knew it. I just knew it was going in.
I remember screaming and yelling about Steph with the mouthpiece. I used to get furious about that.
That bothered you.
Irritate me.
The person that everybody hated, but that I never really
was Draymond.
I never really hated Draymond because I felt like off the court he kept it just so real. Like he tell it like it is, and I respect people like that.
He is legit to this day one of my favorite people I've talked to, interviewed, because he is so insightful.
Yeah,
and he's honest.
See,
but he loses his mind on the court. It's so weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he does.
I know.
Although I don't know, like if he had played in the '80s or the '90s, would we think of him as dirty?
He would have been a Detroit Piston.
Well, you punch a guy in the nuts, you're dirty. You kick a guy in the nuts, you're dirty. It doesn't matter the era.
Yeah, that stuff was happening though. Like he would have. Let's put it this way: in the '80s and '90s, he wouldn't stand out with his dirtiness.
Not as much,
right?
Probably
like now, it's more noticeable because there's not a lot of players that do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys one more question about the Cavs and their lineup situation. Then we can talk a little AFC North.
Yeah.
Part of the reason they were able to have success, despite not having Jarrett Allen offensively against Orlando in Game 5, were the minutes Marcus Morris and Evan Mobley shared on the court. The team had a 129 offensive rating. They got a great performance from Marcus Morris. We talked about it in depth yesterday on the show. We talked about it again on the podcast last night with Jason. If you missed it, you can go check it out. What's your guys' confidence level that Marcus Morris, who saw his first real playoff minutes for the Cavs in Game 5, can replicate a similar performance in Game 6 on the road? At least somewhere in the same range? Or are you guys worried that he's a guy who one night can give you something like 12 points, 3 rebounds, and the next he gives you nothing?
I'm not that confident.
I
He
am.
can be consistent.
I'm
You are?
about to say I am.
Okay, good.
He's played a lot of
guys know better than me.
basketball, a lot of big time basketball. He's been a keystone for a lot of organizations that he played for. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to. I'm not expecting this man to go out there and give me 30. Like, that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for 12, 15, 14 points, something around there. I feel like he can definitely do that. Plus, he got the outside shooting. He's physical. He's an aggressive guy. That's what you want. He got that attitude that I love. So why would he not be able to?
12 to 14 is a little aggressive for me.
12 is. He can get you 12.
I'm more in the 8 to 10 range.
He can get you 12.
But
man.
he's not going to be afraid of the moment.
No.
Like, he's been through it all. And I remember, we talked about this yesterday on the podcast, but I remember him with Detroit in 2016, like literally trying to decapitate Kevin in the first round. And then him and Tristan getting into it in the conference finals in 2018 when Marcus was in Boston.
Face.
And they were nose to nose and going at it. So, like, he is not afraid of the moment. If he doesn't play well, it's not because the pressure got to him. He just had an off night. And I think that's really what happened with George Niang. Like, he's just not shooting it well.
Yeah.
Niang's been there plenty. It's not that the moment's too big for him. He's just in a slump. And so if Marcus, if you can get 8-10 points out of him and a couple of threes, there's no reason he can't give that. If
Well,
that's what you're looking for, he can give you that.
He doesn't lack for confidence
No, not at all.
at all. So, yeah,
Which is what you need.
It's clearly made a difference this year, even though Niang hasn't played well and Strus hadn't played well to the second half of Game 5. But having guys like that and Morris who have playoff experience,
Yeah.
plus the playoff experience that all the guys that were already here got last year, has certainly made a difference. Not that they've been perfect in this series, far from it, but they played a lot better in this series than they played against the Knicks last year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
One thing with
Okoro
Morris-
is second on the list. Get out of town.
Yeah, the Cavs are not shooting well. Their three-point percentage
Wait,
not at all.
let me ask you, is that good enough for him to get Okoro? Is that good enough for him to get the type of money he's looking for?
No chance.
Nope.
I just want to say,
It's unbelievable that the Cavs are winning this series. Look at their shooting percentage.
Orlando's worse.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not unbelievable.
One thing on Morris, I said this yesterday, and I think in terms of confidence, like the dude is irrationally confident, which is what you need in a role guy on the bench. He could win you a game with how he played in Game 5. He could also shoot you out of a game.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to pass up shots if they're not going in. He's going to keep shooting and try to find himself, which
shoot.
could be great,
Yeah.
and it could be bad. You just got to find out. But Marcus Morris gave the Cavs a massive upgrade over what George Niang had given them the first
for
4
sure.
games.
And to Mike's point about his confidence, I asked him after the game the other night, do you remember 2016, that series against the Cavs in the first round in 2018? And he said, I remember I played really well. Like, first thing he said, I remember playing pretty well.
You know, it's funny because, like, what was the year that you thought Mike Miller would help the Cavs?
2015.
Was it 2015?
2014, 15.
And then last year it was what's his name? We were hoping.
Danny
Green.
But I had Danny
But
Green.
now Marcus Morris is he?
Well, no, Mike Miller, I died on that hill.
Yeah.
Last year with Danny, it was more of a, you don't have any other options.
Right.
I'm not saying he's going to help you,
Right.
but you have to look and
Give it a
see what's
shot.
there.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to see if he's got anything left. And the answer was no.
Yeah.
He did not have
Well,
anything
Marcus
left.
Morris was a guy who had been cut, right? I mean,
He's a buyout guy,
he had
yeah.
a buyout.
But it was not a, you're not good enough to play
fair,
anymore.
fair.
It
That's
was,
true.
this team sucks and we're not going anywhere. Go
Right.
give yourself another
Yeah.
opportunity.
Who was
Smart move by the Cavs. to
Was
pick
it
him up.
him or his brother that got into it with the Joker?
I thought they both did.
It was both.
No, one of them, like the one that
No,
the
I know what
Joker
you're
like
talking about, but
injured.
they both ended up getting into it with Joker.
They got injured. The one that got injured, he like Joker like hit him in his back or something, and he like went out.
It was Markeith, not Marcus.
Okay, I can't.
Markeith.
Obviously, they look alike, so I can't never tell them apart.
Well, they're twins.
Oh, they got like the same.
They're identical twins,
Don't they
right?
got like the
Yeah.
exact same tattoos and everything?
Yep, same tattoos.
All right.
Markeith's taller though. That's the one different. 1'6'11", 1'6'9".